Cranberries. These fascinating crimson berries are only really celebrated this time of year, with jellies and sauces to accompany large roasted birds or gooey cheeses. It takes a certain amount of festivity to appreciate just how astoundingly sour these things are. We rarely see 100% unsweetened cranberry juice, and that's because it's about as sour as lemon juice. For that reason, the carton stuff is often confusingly described as dry and sweet. But cranberries also contain a load of tannins. That's the stuff that makes your teeth and gums feel a little dry when you're drinking red wine. And because of that, there's a lot of old American recipes that will call for cranberries to preserve and flavor meats. More recently, pretty much every bar in the world will carry cranberry juice, thanks to the cocktail renaissance of the 70s and 80s, which propelled the Cosmopolitan to world-renowned status. Suddenly, bartenders could quickly and consistently make pink cocktails that will make anyone in the room say, "I'll have what they're having." Thanks to the shameless 80s, the Sex on the Beach, Woo Woo and Sea Breeze are now household names thanks to this crimson berries juice. These days, cranberry juice has somewhat fallen out of favour as a modern cocktail ingredient. This is because there's a heavier focus on fresh juice rather than cartoned juice. Although the spirit of the 80s is very much still alive in those naughty classics that are revamped and revisited endlessly. And in that vein, we should probably revamp some of those classics. Just like every week, I break my drinks down into 3 sections: super simple, where no special tools are required; mega tasty, where a simple infusion or syrup is needed; and ultra fancy, where maximum effort is required. But before we crack on with any cocktails, we need to do some prep. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna make is a cold brew tea, which is super delicious by itself, but will act as a bright and slightly bitter backbone for a riff on a classic punch. Start by adding to a large glass jar 25 grams of Oolong tea, which is a semi-oxidized style of black tea and lends fruity and aromatic bright notes. Then add 100 grams of dried cranberries, or if you're American, they're called craisins. Yeah. Okay. These are super condensed and jammy with a slightly sweet and slightly acidic flavour. Top that with 750 grams of cold water, give it a quick swizz, cover loosely and let steep in a cool, dark place for 18 hours. Once rested, pass through a coffee filter, lightly pressing on the leaves, but don't press too much, otherwise it'll become too bitter. Once filtered, bottle, label, stick in the fridge, ready to be used later. That's it. Now, I can't talk about cranberry without making that drink. Love it or loathe it, the Cosmopolitan is here to stay. Personally, I think the Cosmo has come a long way from its lurid, cloying neon red sold by the picture in Wetherspoon's 90s version. Modern Cosmos are delightfully balanced and should always be pink and never red. Start by adding to a jar or shaker 5 ml of Gomme, which is a heavyweight 2-to-1 sugar syrup. 25 ml of cranberry juice from the carton stuff is absolutely fine. 20 ml of Cointreau, dust off that bottle on the back of your bar. 15 ml of fresh pressed lime juice. And then 30 ml of Porter's Tropical Old Tom Gin, which is flavoured with passion fruit, guava, and white tea. Add plenty of ice and shake super hard. Strain into a fancy cocktail glass, or frankly anything you have to hand. I'd drink this from a shoe if it were offered to me. Garnish with a spritz of orange oils from a piece of trimmed peel. Don't bother flambeing it unless you want your drink to smell like insect repellent. And then sip slowly with the question rolling around in your mind, where have you been all my life? The perfect Cosmopolitan. Cheers. Alright, so back in the prep kitchen, as I briefly talked about before, carton cranberry juice isn't really indicative of what the fruit actually tastes like. And the righteous dudes at Bar Average have come up with a killer recipe that blows that carton juice out of the proverbial water. Start by adding to a backpack bag or sealable container 250 grams of cranberries. I'm using fresh as I want the best representation of what cranberry can be. At this time of year you can find them in shops all over, but frozen works well too. Then add 62.5 grams of caster sugar. It's a very specific amount, but it does make sense, I promise. And then pour over 500 grams of water. Once packed, seal the bag or container. Interestingly, cranberries have evolved to grow with an air pocket inside of them, as they are distributed in the wild by floating away on floodplains rather than by animals. Who knew? Set the whole lot in a 70-degree water bath for 3 hours. Yes, 3 hours. These berries have a really thick, waxy coating that requires quite a lot of heat to break down and release their delicious sour contents. Once pulled out of their extended jacuzzi bath, check that the berries have all burst and let out their little pocket of air, and let them rest and cool down before chilling them in the fridge overnight. Once thoroughly chilled, delicately pass the whole lot through a muslin cloth or fine super bag. Take care not to mush the fruits up, as the bitter tannins can easily run through and ruin your juice. Once the juice is nice and clear, add 1 gram of malic acid. This is just to keep everything nice, bright and fresh. Give it a stir, make sure everything is dissolved. Bottle, label and refrigerate until the feeling takes you to drink the best cranberry juice you have ever had in your life. And while that's chilling, I'll make another drink. So this is a drink that really shouldn't work, and on paper, it doesn't make sense, but this is a super grown-up and nuanced version of the classic Rad House Punch. Start by adding to a jar or shaker 50 ml of our cold brew Cranberry Oolong. This is fruity and dry, and it's slightly bitter. 10 ml of Gomme, which is 2-to-1 heavy sugar syrup. 15 ml of freshly pressed lemon juice. 20 ml of Cranberries, which is a delicious strawberry aromatized wine. 10 ml Trois Rivières, which is a grassy and pokey agricole-style rum. And then 40 ml of the delightful H by Hein cognac. This is a super delicious, big, peachy and bright cognac. Add ice and shake super hard until nice and frosty. Double strain out into an iced highball glass, add a straw and garnish with a quartered passion fruit. This thing is super rad, hella bright and zippy, with a hefty bitter lick right alongside tropical fruit that lasts for ages on the tongue. More of a summer serve admittedly, but who says there are rules to drinking? The Rad House Punch. Cheers. Oh mama, so this drink is one of the signature serves from the Naughty and Nice duo of Bar Average. There's a link down below to their delightfully dope Instagram page full of the choicest bartender memes. Now, the Woo Woo is a particularly average beverage, but with the best ingredients, we can elevate it to the realms of dreamy or even exquisite. No messing around with the format, just banging ingredients. Start by swirling ice in your classiest highball to chill it down. Then add 20 ml of peach liqueur. Bar Average actually calls for a 3-brand peach liqueur blend, something I just can't bring myself to do. Then add 50 ml of the delightful Reka vodka from Iceland. Give it a quick swizz and then top with 100 ml of that ice-cold sous vide cranberry juice I made earlier. Garnish with a cheeky lime cheek and sip on this little beauty whilst reminiscing of dark nightclubs with sticky floors and the smell of cigarette smoke in your hair. This thing is killer. It is super soft and round without any of that cloying, abstract, generic fruitiness that you get from cheap cranberry juice. Laser fine acidity with pinpoint juiciness. The drink's so nice they named it twice. The Woo Woo. Alright, so there you go team, 3 cocktails using the most recognizable red juice in the world, cranberry. Now, I'm not a particularly big fan of cranberry juice, but I think that anyone who has ever made a cocktail in their entire lives needs to kind of tip the cap to the juice that launched a million parties. If you did like what you saw, give us a thumbs up, stick a comment down below with the one thing that you want to see me tackle in the future. If you haven't subscribed already, why not? It's free, it's easy, and there'll be a button right here that pops up in a second. Till next time, take it easy, be good, love you, bye.